No, I think it was November. I didn't really do much. I think I did one deal. But there was also a month where in August I did 13 deals.
Welcome back to the channel, Jared. Excited to have you back on. We did an interview with you. How long ago was that now? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was, I think, January, I want to say. Like, it was really early in the year. I think first couple weeks of January.
So as of this recording, about a year ago, and it was really fun to do that interview and hear what you're doing and the success you're having. And then you and I have kept in touch all year. You've checked in with me often, and we've been in communication, and you've been sharing with me some of your success, and you've branched into some fix and flip, which has been really exciting to kind of watch your journey progress now from just wholesaling to now doing fix and flip. You've really taken the on-market strategy to heart and are really doing well with that as well. So what I'd love to do, Jared, is now that we've invited you back on 1 year from kind of your initial, getting started phase to now kind of a year of dialing in some processes, still learning a lot about the business, but systematizing some things, or at least being consistent in the way that you're doing deals every month. So I want to kind of share with everybody listening here a little bit of that journey and try to share with us maybe the transition from like this initial starting to then where now you're doing multiple deals consistently every single month. So tell us about that journey.
Yeah. So when you first had me on, that was, I think I mentioned it during the call that I had just started having consistent success for pretty much the first time. Prior to that, I was doing, I would do like 2 deals 1 month and then nothing. And then I would do a deal and then I wouldn't get another one for a while. And when you brought me on, that was when I had really started seeing consistent leads coming in on a weekly or daily basis. And so I kind of just replicated that. Like, I looked at what I was doing, the KPIs that I was hitting, because I do a lot of agent outreach where I'm reaching out not just to listed property agents, but to just agents in general off of Zillow or, realtor.com or whatever. And so I replicated that. And over the course of, the entire year, pretty much, I averaged 4 or 5 deals a month. And that was just because I was not, there would be, so I had months where I was slow, right? So like, I think it was November. It was I think it was November. I didn't really do much. I think I did 1 deal, but there was also a month where in August I did 13 deals, and it just kind of balances itself out. I think you commented on a post I made where I was like frustrated because, I had 1 month where I had the biggest month I've ever had. And then like 2 months later, it was dead. And it was just, it's like ebbs and flows and stuff. But I mean, the big thing for me was, like you said, kind of systemizing and now recently automating the business and what was working, and just kind of staying away from the stuff that was just kind of, junk or like fillers where you're just kind of doing stuff and you're just staying busy, but you're not really accomplishing much. And I kind of just doubled down on the stuff that does matter. And it's weird because I have moments, especially like recently, where I mentioned to you, I went up to Montana for a vacation and I pretty much did nothing. I didn't work most of that time. And that makes me nervous because, it feels weird to not really be working, but still be seeing success. And the reason for that is because I can get away with working minimal hours now because I have it narrowed down to the stuff that matters. So as long as I'm talking to agents and I'm making a couple offers, 2 offers a day, I'm going to get deals no matter what. And I just stay in touch with those agents that I do deals with or that I have in my system. And at some point or another, leads are going to come in, and it's just about converting those at that point.
Yeah, I love what you're sharing here. It reminds me of the 80-20 principle, which if you can live your life following the 80-20 rule, then what'll happen is you'll constantly be refocusing your time, energy, and effort into the most productive activities. And so if you look at the 80-20, what it says they've taken this almost across all different industries, any type of outcome type of thing, not just real estate, but 80% of your results come from 20% of your activity. And so if you think about that, if you take everything you're doing in a month to generate deals, let's just take acquisition side, just acquisitions. And you look at all the lead gen you're doing. If you go back and you analyze it, somewhere around 80% of your results are going to be coming from 20% of your effort. And that could be a lead source or something you're doing that's producing the majority of your results. And so it's Pareto's principle, and this is scientifically proven, right? So it's like a statistic. And so to become more effective, what you do is you look at everything you're doing, you take the most effective 20%, and then you drop the 80% and you put all your effort into the 20% that's giving you the best results. And then what happens is you just really hyper focus on what's working, and then your productivity just goes way up. Your success goes way up. And it sounds like that's maybe not quite, 80-20, but it sounds like what you're doing is you're looking at everything you're doing and you're saying, what's working the best? How do I double down on that and be consistent with that? Part of the challenge is in the beginning, you don't really know. You try lots of things. And so you got to figure out what works. And the only way to figure out what works is try lots of things. See, the problem is most people, they want to skip that. They want to go, okay, well, Jared, tell me the one thing that's working the best for you, and then I'm going to go do that. Or Jerry, tell me the one thing that's working best for you, and then I'm going to go do that. And maybe you'll see the same results, maybe you won't, because there's so many factors that play a role: your market, your style, your personality, the type of lead you're working on specific to your market. All these different factors, your budgets, all the things play a role into you and how you're going to perform. So it's okay to get some ideas, but you've got to be willing, if you're listening to this, you've got to be willing to try lots of things, see what works. And then the things that work, double down on those things and drop the things that don't work. That makes sense?
For sure.
And another thing, Jared, I just want to kind of pull from some of the things you're sharing here. When you're in that grind phase, like you've been in, and you grind, that's amazing, because there's a phase in every business where you have to do the grind. You can't skip it. Everybody tries to, there's no way around it. Everybody's grind phase looks different. Some people it's longer, some people it's shorter. Some people never actually transition out of the grind. They stay in the grind. No matter how successful they become, they stay in the grind. The reason why is because you create habits from your activities. Your daily actions create habits. And if you're not careful, as the business grows and as you make more money, you can stay in that grind phase because of habits you've created. And then you never really get out of it, and you never actually achieve lifestyle. Even if you've got a big bank account, all you do is work all the time. And I know a lot of people that are that way. I've been that way at times. I have to constantly work on managing this insatiable desire for success and to work, and the love I have of what I do, with balancing with the other parts of my life, my family, my spirituality, my health and fitness, all the other things. And that's not easy to do if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you feel driven and you feel purpose in what you do. You can easily get sucked into just never-ending grind. So when you share how you went to Montana, and you were texting me about how much you loved Montana and the experience you had, I'm really proud of you, because you were able to kind of step aside for a second, watch your systems and processes working from a distance now, see that things can still happen without you being there. And hopefully that experience inspired you to improve on that. Like, man, what would it be like if I took more time, more frequently, or longer time, and that gets exciting when you can start to look at the business running itself, not you running the business. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know my fiance, so that was the first vacation that we've taken in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to lie, like the first few days, I had a lot of anxiety. Like I was really anxious. Like, man, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be at square one again. But that didn't happen. I actually sold a $30,000 deal while I was on vacation and got paid like right after I got home. So it was like you said, it's easy to get sucked into the just nonstop hustle. That was a really important experience for me to go out and have a lot of fun and see different parts of the country and stuff, and spend time with my family while not working. Even though I had that anxiety initially, it completely disappeared once I saw, as time went on, nothing bad was happening or anything like that.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm a firm believer that you can have both, right? You can have wealth and spirituality. You can have a thriving business and take time off. You can be rich and a really good person that gives a lot, right? It isn't one or the other. In fact, when you start to think things as either or, it's a real scarcity type of mindset. The key to it all, though, is when whatever it is you're doing, you do it with everything you've got. So when I'm with my kids, I'm really present and with my kids. And so then that time really is valuable and really is meaningful because I'm not distracted. And when I'm with work, I'm really focused on work. That's not easy to do. Don't get me wrong, I don't do that perfectly all the time, but I strive for that. And I think that's how you can really achieve, a really amazing life, your best life, not just financially, but in all other areas as well. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the processes and systems. Like, I know you're still early enough in your career, in your business, where you don't have everything all figured out. And even when you do get everything all figured out, things will change and you have to reinvent yourself. That's just how it goes. In fact, I love that about the business because it means you're constantly developing and improving based on whatever things are coming your way, whatever the market's giving you, whatever the business is giving you, whatever the government, the environment, politics, all of it, a pandemic, you're constantly adjusting on the fly, reinventing yourself. And that's how you continually develop and become better and better. But having said that, what do you feel like are some of the top processes or systems, the things you're doing consistently that have been the most impactful this past year?
So there's only two, in my opinion. There's two things. Well, I guess depending on where you are in your business, there's three. If you're going the agent route, which is what I do. So my top two things, the only two things I have to worry about for me to sustain my business is hitting follow-ups every day. So touching base with my agents every single day, and not the same agents every day, but I have a lot of agents. So I'll hit 50 agents a day because I have over 1,000 agents that I'm in contact with. And then offers. So if I'm sending out 5 offers a day and I'm talking to 50 follow-ups a day on my agent, so I'll reach out to agents initially. And then, the agents that indicate they want to do business with me, that they'll work with an investor, I'll just follow up with them like you talk about, like on a drip campaign.
Yeah.
Hey, do you have anything coming up? And I'll do that. I'll talk to every agent every 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks. Sometimes I get behind and it goes longer than that. But I try to keep it.
Your goal is to touch base, reconnect with these agents once every couple of weeks, at least once every couple of weeks, be hitting them up either through email, text, call. Hey, here I am. Remember me? I'm an investor. I'm a cash buyer. I'm looking for deals. You got anything? How can I help you? You got anything you need me to make an offer on? That's a big part of your process, as well as new agent connections, new agent outreach. Between those two things is what you're saying are your main things.
Yeah, I would say so. It's the follow-ups and the offers. The new agent outreach is like a filler for me. So I want to continually expand my network and bring new agents in. Some days I'm not able to do that. Like, for example, yesterday I went to the bank and I had to open up a business check or credit line. So that took like 3 hours, but I made sure I got my follow-up and my offers done. And then, on the days that I have more free time, so I try not to work more than like 4 or 5 hours a day at this point. So I usually won't work past 5 p.m. That's family time for me. After that, I try to just completely hands off after that. And so obviously if it's something really important, it has to happen or whatever. But for me, I'll usually start working anywhere from like 10 a.m. to noon, and I'll do my five offers first. And then I'll do my follow-up. And obviously between there, I'm doing a bunch of stuff like comping or whatever happens, responding. But after that, if I have time, that's when I'll do my new agent outreach, where I'll reach out to, new agents, just cold, almost like cold calling what you do to sellers, but to agents. I'll just call them up or text them and say, hey, I'm an investor looking for fix and flip opportunities, and just talk to them.
Gotcha.
Those are the only really, I don't think I have a really good buyer. Like I'm almost I've talked to you about it, almost kind of like business partners with him. And at this point, and I have, backup VIP buyers that I have close relationships with as well in case he doesn't want a deal that I have. But I don't really have to worry about my buyers right now. I think I have a small group of buyers that I'm very close with that I know I can move most of my deals with. And so for me, the only important things really are making sure I'm staying in touch with the agents that I work with and sending out offers, and that's it.
Yeah, I love how you've just simplified that so well as just those consistent efforts in those two areas. That's phenomenal. So
Yep.
Jared, let's talk about this past year. You shared a couple with me, but I want to talk about two more things. I want to talk about how you've transitioned into some fix and flip, but then also this year, what has been your favorite, your all-time favorite deal? Maybe biggest profit, or you enjoyed the most, or went the best. But what's been your best deal? And let's break it down.
So there's two.
Okay, two. Great.
Yeah, there's two. There's two, and the reason I say there's two is because one of them was really cool to me. The other one was just a really well executed deal. So the first one was the first luxury property I ever did, and it was a luxury wholesale, and it was in this it was really cool the way it happened too. So I followed up with this one real estate agent in my CRM like I normally would, and they actually put me in touch with. It wasn't their deal, but they knew an appraiser that had a family friend that was selling a house, and this house was beat, dude. Like, this house was bad. Like, I sent my buyer in there and he was like, that's one of the top 5 worst houses I've ever walked around. And he's like, I almost got bit by like this giant black snake that went right past my boot. But it was bad, man. But it took us a really long time to get it to the finish line because there was like title issues and all kinds of stuff that came up. But I thought it was really cool because it was the first luxury one that I did. So agent brought it to me off market. Well, she referred me to the appraiser that had it. I gave her a referral fee after we closed it. And that one was $15,000 I made on that one. And I think my buyer is going to do really well on that.
What was the price point?
I was really excited about. What's up?
What was the price point?
So I had it under contract for 402.5 and sold it for 417.5. It needs a lot, like probably 150K. And it's not a huge house. It's like, I think it was 1,900 square feet or so. And it's pretty much a full gut. And he's going to probably sell it for about 725, I would say.
Okay. And yeah, you liked it not because it was you've done way higher assignment fees, but you like that one because it was your first higher end deal that you've done.
Yeah, that was the first one. I've never wholesaled a luxury property before then, so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then the other one that we just sold was for 30,000, and that one was a property off market. An agent brought it to me, said, "Hey, I'm about to list this house." I showed it. So what I do with my buyer, because I have a really close relationship with him, is I'll run the numbers and I'll present those numbers to him before I even lock it up. That way I don't have to worry about if I lock it up and my numbers are off and I have to cancel it. So I brought the numbers to him, and the agent wanted 80,000. Well, the seller wanted 80,000 80,000. And I told my buyer, "Hey, I think this is a 325 house if you add a bathroom." And because it was like a 3-bed, 1 bath. And so I was like, if there's space to add a second bath, I think it's a 325 house. And we talked about the rehab. It was a full gut hoarder house. And he came back and he said, "I need to be around 45,000. You can get whatever you want below that, but I'll buy it for 45." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I went back and I told the agent, and the agent was like, "No, we're just going to list it." So I'm like, "Okay." And then 2 weeks later, they came back to me without even listing it yet. And the agent's like, "Hey, the seller doesn't want to list it anymore. She's ready to go at 40,000 or whatever we can do." And so I brought it back to my buyer, and he's like, "That's one of those deals where I give you a number and I'm just hoping that they say no, because I really don't like that house." Yeah. And I'm like, "All right, what do you want to do?" And he's like, "I'll still buy it, but what you should do is push it out to a couple other guys first and see if you can get a higher assignment fee out of it." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So I put it to my buddy he focuses on disposition. So he's mostly just
Jared,
like,
sorry, Jared. And the reason why is
you're
because
good.
he's at 45 and you've got him down to 40.
Yep. Yeah, they wouldn't go
So
below 40.
it's not much. And your buyer's like, since you got such a great relationship with him, he's kind of like, Jared, I'll do it, but maybe you can get more for it with somebody else. I'm not in love with it, but I'll do it. Which is awesome because it's just a great relationship with your buyer who is just shooting straight with you. And so you're like, okay, well, maybe I can get more than 45. Let me go see what the market will do.
Yeah, and he's awesome. Like, he's a straight shooter, like you said. He does stuff like that all the time where he's super honest about everything. And so I took it to my buddy, and he's a dispositions wholesaler, and he's got buyers in all kinds of different markets and stuff. So I gave it to him, and I was like, hey, man, shoot this out to your buyers. We can split the deal. You know, whatever you can sell it for, we'll split it 50-50. I don't mind. And so he pushes it out. Like I said, we have it at 40,000. The next morning, he's got like 8 buyers blowing up his phone for it. And he marketed it for 100. So he had a $60,000 spread there for us to split.
Yeah.
And I was like shocked because I've sold, a lot of deals this year, and I haven't seen anybody that pays more than my buyer. And so I was like kind of dumbfounded. I was like, that's pretty insane because, and I ran the numbers like, I don't understand.
What were you missing? Why were they willing to pay so much more?
Dude, I don't know. Well, so I'll get there actually. We figured it out in the end. But at the moment, I had no idea. I was like, dude, I'm running the numbers on this. If I were to flip this at that price, I'd probably lose money.
Yeah.
Like I probably wouldn't even make any money if I bought it for 100 or 100,000. And the crazy part is his buyer that initially got it under contract also ended up wholesaling it for another $20,000. And that guy's a legitimate buyer, so I don't mind that. Like, he could have closed on it if we needed him to close on it, but he was able to sell it to another guy for another $20,000. And so the three of us split $80,000. I walked away with 30, my buddy walked away with 30, and then his buyer walked away with 20. And in the end, we found out that the end buyer, was basically a contractor himself, and he has, it's like a family operation, I guess. And they were going to do the work all together, save a lot of money on labor and stuff like that. And so it just worked for them. I don't know if they're going to rent it or flip it, but I mean, dude, the house is a full gut, easily $100,000+ remodel, and the ARV's low 300s, and they bought it for 120. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know, man. And in the market that we're in right now, I was shocked that somebody bought it for that much.
That was recent. That wasn't before during the crazy boom. That was recent.
No, this is literally I got paid for that like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would after the fact, look up that buyer and see what the heck's their story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm curious to see what happens with that because that was the biggest assignment fee I've done. And that was probably the most, like, in terms of, asking price, negotiate them down, and then sell it for, a collective like $80,000.
So every now and then there's an outlier, right? Just some buyer that whatever they're doing, they're way out of formula.
Yeah.
But the fact that you had, 8 buyers knocking down the door at 100 tells you that everybody's seeing something different. And so the thing when that happens, I think you're on the right track. You want to ask the question, why? What am I not seeing? What are they seeing? Yep. Unfortunately, you're not in direct communication because it's through a JV.
Yeah.
Let's say it was, you would be asking every single one of those buyers, hey, why is 100 a deal for you? Help me understand your formula.
Yeah.
And what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Or just, I'm curious, I like to say all the time to cash buyers, I'm curious, what makes this a deal for you?
Yep.
Explain to me your rehab number. Explain to me your exit. Are you keeping this? Are you flipping it? What do you think it's going to flip for? Help me understand the way you're thinking so that way I can be better at bringing you deals in your buy box.
Yep.
And that goes, and that strategy of, full service wholesaling and really building those relationships with your buyers is absolutely critical in today's market when 70% of buyers are gone now. I think that's, I've talked to a lot of people, and that's kind of the number everybody's coming up with. I don't know if it's exactly that, but your inexperienced flippers, your hedge funds, your iBuyers, all those people are gone now. The only people left are legit flippers. And they're not buying crap. They're buying deals. Now that could be an outlier. Like that could be, the next new guy in town who's going to lose his shirt on that deal, or maybe they're seeing something that you're not seeing. Who knows? Well, this is a great transition now into fix and flip. So I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. But I think this is a great transition. There comes a point in every wholesaler's journey where they come to a crossroads where they have to make a decision. Do I continue my progression as an investor and start to move into some other areas? Maybe increase my risk tolerance, maybe take on some bigger projects. And when that crossroads happens, some wholesalers, they say, you know what? No, I don't want any part of that. I just want to keep where I'm at. Maybe I dial in my systems. Maybe I do more volume. I like this model. But I find that most wholesalers, you don't get into wholesaling to stay a wholesaler your whole life. It's just an entry into the game. It's an amazing game. And don't get me wrong, you can make a lot of money just wholesaling. But I found for me in my journey that wholesaling wasn't really real estate. It wasn't even really investing. It was more like pushing paper and more like I was more like a marketer than anything else. And I wanted to actually become a real investor. And to become a real investor, you have to take down stuff. You have to own stuff. You have to do value add. Maybe you still flip it, which is still a short-term exit, but it gets you down a different path where you start to learn finance. You start to learn renovating properties, which is adding value. When you learn how to value add, now you can do anything. You can go into commercial, whatever. Maybe you start to hold some stuff or whatever it is that you end up doing. But wholesaling is a great way to start to push you into some of these other areas and get out of your comfort zone, even if you do it slowly. In other words, still wholesale 9 out of 10, but maybe that 1 out of 10, that's that home run deal. Maybe you take that down and you start going through a new learning process of financing, rehabbing, reselling, all of those things, and start to push yourself into new development. And I know, I see you doing that. So tell us a little bit about how you're making that transition.
So like I said, every month I'll wholesale 4 deals, 5 deals, sometimes less, sometimes more. But usually like every month or two, I'll come across a cosmetic rehab, super easy, low price point, like I'll sell it to my buyer for $150K, something like that. And I think those are the ones that I'm going to target.
Yeah.
Moving forward, just until I get my legs underneath me and I get really, like momentum built up and stuff like that. And then also until the market is a little bit more, like I have a better idea on where the market's going and stuff like that. Cause, I don't know. It's a weird time right now.
Be sure to pay close attention to the actives, days on market. That's your competition. I like to think about it like this. If I came on market today with my house totally renovated and I had to compete, if a buyer had to choose between my house and whatever else is on the market, how would I fare? How would I compete? Yep. And if there's 4 other awesomely renovated homes in my neighborhood that are priced, aggressively or are sitting and not moving, and I want mine to sell, I better be significantly lower than their asking price right now. So a buyer buys my house, not theirs.
Yeah.
So what is that number? And if it's going to take me 4 months to get there because I got to rehab it still, if the market dips a little bit, now I take the number I want to aggressively sell at today minus some more depreciation. That's my new ARV. And if I can buy at that number, 70% less repairs, I got a deal. Yeah. And that's how guys, like me who are going to continue to flip right through this, that's how they're thinking right now. Like I flipped right through the last turn, the last downturn, and I'm flipping. In fact, I'm probably going to flip more than ever before now because I can buy deeper than ever before.
You're going to get better deals. Yeah.
I'm going to get better. So deals aren't the issue anymore. And so, it's just an exciting way to do the business as long as you're buying right and you have a methodical way of coming to your numbers. Well, Jared, thank you for sharing your journey. It's been amazing to kind of learn from you and hear from you. Guys, leave a comment and say, Jared, you're a flipping genius. consistently doing deals every month, growing, learning, building the business. It's really exciting. And Jared, I love that you are such a lifelong learner. You're such an avid learner, constantly trying to learn new things, how to do things better, how to improve upon what you're doing. And that's just really awesome.